Hi, welcome to a very special edition of Pico Playtime, where I indulge in a little bit of shameless self-promotion. Straighten my t-shirt there. Usually on Pico Playtime I play through other people's games, but today I'm going to play through my own game, which I've recently finished. It's called Brave Pixel, and yeah, I did this for one of my last games I did, Clever Pixel. This is a kind of, I suppose strictly speaking, it's probably a prequel. I started making this before Clever Pixel, but then Low Res Jam started, so I kind of like shifted my ideas over into Clever Pixel, and it's complicated. Anyway, I'm going to play through my own game, just to kind of talk about it a little bit and explain how I made various bits. I might even load some of the earlier versions of the game as well, so we can compare and contrast. Anyway, after this shameless self-promotion, I will probably be resuming my normal videos. So yeah, this is just a special video whilst I'm trying to promote my game, get other people to play it. Usually I'm trying to get people to play other people's games, so this is different. Anyway, let's load the game. So Brave Pixel. What is Brave Pixel? It's complicated. It's kind of a puzzle game, action puzzle game. The closest comparison that I can think of, or that I've been suggested, is, I cannot pronounce this, Katamari Damacy. How have you pronounced that? The game where you pick up loads of stuff into a giant ball and you get bigger and bigger and pick up more stuff. There's many mobile games that do the same thing. It's the same kind of idea. So, there's my special splash screen, which I actually used on Clever Pixel as well, with some slight adjustments. So, the title screen, that was one of the first things I actually did on the game. I had this kind of, I was playing around with the pset command, and I came up with this. So each color pixel rises to a certain level based on its color value, and we get this interesting kind of rainbow, which is cool. So the reason that I have the X and Z keys, the reason I have to have you press both to start, is because there is a secret cheat code that you can input on the title screen. A secret cheat code. Anyway, I'm not going to put that in. So, the story of this game. You've got to get back home, return all the pixels to the centre to clear each zone, watch out for worms. The story in this game, I say story, it's such an abstract game, it was hard to kind of, I had a real problem getting over to the player what the hell is happening and what the hell you are supposed to do. So this little paragraph at the top is my attempt at doing that. And I have started recycling code already. There's the tip display ticker, which I've used in Banana Chase, so many of my games. It's back. And here's something that was new in this game. I made a level select. This is a level select. It kind of works like a map as well, so that each time you clear an area, a couple more levels are unlocked. And we're trying to get home, which is the little red house underneath 16. And the two red ball orb things, those are power-ups that we can get. I spent a lot of time on the title screen. The cloud and rain effect, I came up with this cloud and rain effect for this game. I used it in Clever Pixel as well. I won't be surprised if I end up using it again, because I was quite pleased with it. It is where I was trying to set the mood for the game. And also, by the time I got to finishing off the title screen, I was running out of tokens, running out of space in the game, so I had to put something on the title screen so it wasn't just text. So yeah, let's recycle some effects. It's all about recycling. Right, I suppose you'll probably play a level, shouldn't I? Once you've completed the first level, you get to unlock powers. I say powers. You'll see what they are in a little bit. So the controls, we've got direction keys for moving, as you might suspect. We can hold the X key to creep. That lets us move one pixel at a time. The same thing was in... Oh, was it? I'll often mix up this with Clever Pixel. I think the creeping effect was in Clever Pixel at one point as well. May have taken it out. Whatever. Let's play level 1. So, You start off with a single pixel. I have always loved the idea of making a game where you start off as a single pixel and you build it up and build it up. I kind of liked the idea, which I might come back to, of collecting pixels and then being able to draw your character with pixels, kind of. So, you know, so you could kind of start off with just a pixel, but then the more pixels you get, you can maybe start drawing little Space Invader characters or something. I don't know. My coding ability is not at that level yet. So maybe I'll come back to that idea. Anyway, we do pick up pixels in this. We start as a single pixel and we can pick up more. We've got to move around and collect these pink pixels. Each time we collect a pixel, it makes our little character bigger. They kind of stick on at the ends, and this lets us hoover up pixels more quickly. But when we have got too many pixels, we have to return to that blue square to bring them back, and then we can continue. Now, I didn't really explain it anywhere, but hopefully it's fairly obvious. The more pixels we return, the more pixels we can then carry. To start with, I think you can only carry maybe, I don't know, 8 or so pixels, but that increases. There we go, zone complete, powers unlocked. So each level has a kind of different layout. As you can see, there's a hint there talking about small worms. There are enemies and things in the game. Now at this point we can start picking a route. I had a real hard time creating the level select menu. I didn't have the time or the skill to make it so that if I unlock level 1 it would unlock all the diagonals as well. So we have to kind of go through just using, was it the cardinal directions? No? Whatever, you know, up, down, left and right. Anyway, I'm going to try and play through as many of these levels as I can. As usual, in an attempt to make the game more like a game and less like a weird tech demo, I put a speedrunning element in. Because if you're ever making a game and you're there thinking, well, what's the point of this game? What's the player supposed to do? Just put a clock in there and then tell them to do whatever it is that you have them doing quickly. There we go. Game Design 101 there. Lazy game design. Put a clock in and suddenly you've got a speedrun game. There we go. Anyway, as you can see on this level we've got a worm introduced. I was really pleased with the effect I came up for these worms, this kind of flickering effect on their bodies to make them look like stripy snake kind of things. Now this is a small worm. What the small worms, well both of the worms can do, is move around and eat pixels. If they eat a pixel, it will be redistributed somewhere else. And you'll see that that's happening when there's those little yellow rings. That's sometimes when a new pixel is appearing on the screen, if one's been destroyed. If the worms touch us, we will lose our pixels, so they can slow us down. And if we lose our last pixel, then we'll be respawned. Which I'll try and show you now, so... Oh dear. And there's a lovely little sparkly effect there when you respawn, a little trail effect. Okay, one of the things I was trying to do on this game was create a game without using the sprite sheet. It didn't start off as that. I didn't start off with that as an idea, and I also found out afterwards that there is there's a game jam for Pico 8 where that's the exact idea you're supposed to do, make a game without sprite sheet. Anyway, this is a game that doesn't use the sprite sheet. I didn't start off with that, I was playing around, trying to play around with collision code and get better at making collision code, and I realised I had something approaching a game and I wasn't using the sprite sheet, so I'm thinking, well, might as well carry on with that, see how far I can get. And yeah, it was a good learning experience, I think. I'm not sure I'd do it again, maybe. I don't know, maybe. It's a fun little challenge anyway, not using the sprite sheet. So, you may have noticed that different levels are different colours. That was just an attempt to make the levels feel a little bit more different, because this game had quite a long development process, whatever you want to call it. I started working on it before I made Clever Pixel, and that was for Low Res Jam in August. So I kind of started this in July, and I actually had most of the gameplay kind of done before I started Clever Pixel. But then after Low Res Jam, you know, that was like 2 weeks of working intensively on Clever Pixel. I kind of had enough, so I thought I'd have a break, and this was sat unfinished. Now, it was problematic because for a long time, and possibly still, this is probably still the case, I didn't really feel like there was much of a game here. I mean, I found it fun, but then I'm thinking, well, are other people going to find this fun? I quite like just moving around on the screen, picking up pixels. I find it quite relaxing. But do other people feel this way about this game? I don't know. Anyway, for a while, I didn't really add to the game because I thought, yeah, I find it fun, but I don't think anyone else is. But I don't like leaving things unfinished, so I had to come back to this and try and make it more like a game. So, ways in which I'm trying to make it more like an actual game. Well, one thing was picking the difficult level palettes. Adding enemies like the worms, that happened fairly late on in development. A lot later than usual. Usually enemies are one of the first things I'd add to a game, you know, once I've got the kind of moving around on the screen set up. But on this one, that was took quite a while to get there, basically. And I feel like, yeah, adding these simple enemies in, making the levels a little bit more varied, that was through the colour schemes and also just through like the placement of blocks and things. It was starting to feel like a game, so I thought, yeah, this is good. We can release this as a proper game. What else is to talk? There's so much to talk about. I don't want to repeat myself. Music. The title screen music and the music on the first level, that was put in very early on. I love making music in Pico, so those two pieces of music were added very quickly. The rest of the music was added pretty much right at the end, when I had the game all sorted out, and like I say, I was trying to improve the variety in levels and things, so it didn't just feel like every level was just the same. Music and colour scheme was how I did that, because you are essentially just doing the exact same thing on every level, so I had to put something in, didn't I? With the music, like I was talking about how the not using the sprite sheet ended up being a kind of challenge / requirement of the game. It didn't start out that way, and the music ended up being kind of a challenge as well. Usually when I'm doing music, I just compose some cool music. As long as it fits into the game, I'm happy. What I did on this one was I tried to not use any percussion. Usually I'll try and make some kind of bleepy bloopy drum machine kind of sounds to give my music a little bit of drive and a little bit of momentum. Not on this one. I thought, no, let's challenge myself, let's try and make music that doesn't use any drums. And yeah, I feel like that was very successful. I think this music's quite cool, I'm happy with it. So there you go. Another silly little challenge in this game for me. So if you're wondering what some of these boundaries are doing, those red flashing boundaries, anything red in this game, apart from us, anything else that's red will hurt us, will take away pixels. So those red boundaries are kind of like, I don't know, damaging terrain, lava or whatever, you can't touch them. Okay, here we have some of the last things added into the game. The traffic, I don't really know what else to call these. In the code, these little rectangles are called traffic because they kind of look like traffic, like cars or something. They were added pretty late as a very simple enemy or obstacle in the game. Because like I said, for a while there were the worms in the game as an enemy and that were it. So I had to add some other things, otherwise the game would be a bit boring. And I think this was actually the last thing that I did add to the game before decided, right, this is finished, just bug fixing now. It was the trees. I did a stream last week or whenever it was where I was coding the trees, and at this point I was very close to the token limit, and I wanted to have kind of cool fractal style trees, but I ran out of tokens, so that didn't happen, which was sad. It's something I'm probably going to do for another game in future. So like I say, learning how to make a game without using the sprite sheet might come in handy in future. This music was one of the last bits of music to be added. Each level you can clear in under about 2 minutes, I'd say. Until I added a few of the other powers, which I haven't actually used yet, I haven't used any powers. But until I did add those powers, some of the levels could take quite a while to complete. And like I said, this is where we had a bit of a problem, because I thought that was really fun. I was enjoying testing out my own game, but didn't really get the impression other people would find that as fun. Right, let's use some of these powers then. So, if I hold down the Z key, or the circle, square button, whatever it is on Pico 8, we've got little pixels going back. We can drop pixels and make them return to base. So we can use that to help speed up the collection of things, which I probably should be doing if I'm going to try and do this game quickly. So yeah, what we need to be doing to complete these levels quickly is return all the pixels as fast as possible, so using the powers helps us do that. Now there is a bit of a trade-off, because if you drop all your pixels and you go back to 1 or 2 pixels, it's hard to pick up new pixels. You pick up things much faster the bigger you are. So there is a kind of a trade-off there. That's the basic power. It's fairly underwhelming, that. But because now I have advanced to I've cleared level 4, I can unlock this new power. And I've realised there's a bug in my game. Oh dear. At the bottom it says unlock new player, and it's covered up by that other text. Guess I'll have to do a bug fix, won't I? Right, let's note that down, because that's something I'll forget. Unlock new power message. Overlaps. Change power message. On level select. So there you go. This is a special edition of Pico Playtime, because I'm actually bug fixing my own game. Anyway, let's unlock a new power. Oh. I've noticed another bug actually. If I'm on the this is the way that the rows and columns thing works on level select. If I'm on the upgrade, area of the map there, it's actually showing me the time for level 5 there, and I don't think I've actually completed level 5 yet. Oh, more bugs. This isn't good. There shouldn't be bugs in my game. Did we just do that level? Oh, what is going on here? Oh, we've got bugs. Right, looks like there's going to be 1.1, version 1.1 coming out. Anyway, I'll try and play through the rest of this. Can't believe that. Yeah, the level select screen caused me major problems. As you can see, it's still causing me major problems. So this power, again, this was added fairly late into development, and now when we drop a pixel, it makes a little ring explosion kind of thing, and this lets us pick up any nearby pixels. This rapidly speeds up collecting pixels and lets us finish levels much quicker. Again, this was added to try and speed the game up a little bit. I was concerned that it was too slow, so that was why we added this in. Also, there were some other powers that I had, but they were kind of underwhelming. So yeah, this was added for that reason, for 2 reasons then. Speed the game up and make the powers more interesting. And as you can see, now that we've got this extra power unlocked, we can start completing levels much quicker. Right, my level select screen still isn't working properly. How disappointing. Let's see what happens if I complete level 8 now. Let's see if I can figure out what's going on with this bug. Because I have a suspicion it will say level 9 is complete. Let's see. Oh dear. Here you can see this is the big worm. The big worms are identical to the small worms, with the exception that 1, they're a lot bigger, and 2, rather than just wandering around on the screen, the big worms actually come for you. Now when it killed me then and I respawned, you see that it moved off to the side of the screen. The reason it does that is to make it so that it doesn't kind of pin you in this opening area. So whenever it kills you, it will wander off the screen for a little bit before returning. Anyway, let's try that level again, but use the right power this time. So I want to use Detonate Pixels now because it's the best power. There is a third power in the game, but it's just not as good as Detonate Pixels. It's different though, and I've put it in there because it's a little bit more for people to unlock. And yeah, it's just a little extra in the game really. This is the power that you need to quickly complete the game. So yeah. It was kind of frustrating making this game because, especially that level select, I had so many problems on the level select and it really needed to work. It's the first time I've attempted a kind of overworld kind of map in my game. It's something I want to do again in future, and hopefully I've learned some I don't know, got some experience making it basically, because like I say, it was difficult. And I was surprised at how difficult it was. I was not expecting the level select to cause me so many problems. As you can see, there's still bugs on it. The level select would have been a lot easier, probably, if I had been using the map. Now, because I'm not using the sprite sheet, I'm also not using the map, and I think that made things a lot more difficult than needed, really. Right, I'm gonna have to work out what is going wrong with that. Anyway, let's see if I can complete the game then. Oh, that's a delay. It keeps deselecting my my power. So like I say, I want to use explosion effect. This is one of the city levels. I wanted to, again, just to create some more variety in the graphics, add some simple kind of background. So this is meant to be a city. And here's a little fun little Easter egg. This music is my attempt at ripping off some of the music from Biohazard Battle, one of my favourite games on the Mega Drive, or the Genesis if you're in America. Yeah, this is meant to be like the title music on Biohazard Battle. If you haven't heard the music in that game, do yourself a favour and go and check it out. It's one of the coolest soundtracks on the Mega Drive, and the Mega Drive has so many cool soundtracks. I will not listen to anyone who claims that the SNES had a better sound chip than the Mega Drive. No way. The Mega Drive was the best when it came to music anyway. Like I say, 57 seconds for that one. You'll notice at the bottom that we've got total time there. That tells me that's a kind of... Again, the timing was difficult here because I wanted people to be able to revisit levels. The time is a kind of... It's a total of the best times for each level, so it does make timing a bit strange. I can't imagine that there'd be a scenario in if you're trying to speedrun the game, I don't think there'd be a scenario where you could actually do an extra level and replay an earlier level and save more time than you'd spend you know, unlocking that level, if that makes sense. Possibly. I haven't tried doing that, but that's my suspicion, my hope. Anyway, this is the last level. So yeah, the challenge of this level is the fact that we have got 4 worms in this level, 3 small worms and a big worm. But we have got the explosion detonate power. We can pick up pixels so quickly now. I'm slightly concerned that this detonate ability does make the game too easy. But like I say, when I was developing the game, I was really struggling to strike a balance between a level being hard, or getting the difficulty right basically. The difficulty of the game is quite hard. I mean, to make levels harder, the only way to make them harder is to either have more enemies on, more pixels, more obstacles, and rather than making the game harder as such, it just means the levels take longer. So like I say, there isn't really, you know, a difficulty curve in the game, if that makes sense. So anyway, there we go. My total time for this is 13:26. Now if I want to go back and go a bit faster, we could reduce that time now. Let's see. I mean, if you were playing through as a speed run, well, I don't know. No one's going to speedrun this game anyway, but it's something for me to think about. Anyway, there we go. 13:26 is my best time at the moment. Let's. I think we can do better than 3 minutes on that. Let's try this again. Oh, we need the special power though, won't we? Yeah, the pause menu gets used a lot in this game for just, you know, restarting levels. So our time to beat is 3 minutes. Now with detonate, that should be very straightforward. And if I'm trying to be fast, rather than stopping all the time to tell you about things, well, let's see what happens. So on these levels, we want to avoid getting hit by any of the obstacles because those will redistribute pixels, and if we're unlucky, it will put 1 pixel over on its own in the middle of nowhere, and that will make our life a misery. There you go, so I went from what, 3 minutes to 44 seconds using the detonate ability. Get my time to 11 minutes. Let's see if I can get it under 10 before I finish. Or should I show you some more levels? Tell you what, let's look at some more levels. Why does it keep doing that? It keeps resetting my special power, which is annoying. I don't want it to do that. I haven't really explained to this point, but this starting section where I'm kind of boxed in and the music is different, you have to clear this opening area before it lets you into the rest of the level. Again, that was something that was added very early on, and it's stayed in for good or for ill. Yeah, the detonate really does make the game so much easier, possibly too easy. I mean, again, because I was playing on this game for so long whilst I was developing it, and because the development did take so long compared to how I usually work on things, I don't really know what the difficulty is like. I feel like it's okay, but like I say, I'm kind of like an expert at the game, seeing as it's my game. So it's really hard for me to tell what the difficulty is like. I haven't had much feedback from, you know, the internet so far about what the difficulty is like in the game. So I would like to find out what people thought. basically, like you say, once you've got all your powers unlocked, you can very easily clear levels in under 2 minutes. A lot of levels you can probably clear in under a minute. So it's not a long game. I feel like most Pico 8 games should be completable in about 15 or 20 minutes. So, you know, that fits into that. Okay. The detonate is very fun to use. I'm glad I added that in. Now you can see there, we've got 2 pixels over on the right, which are ones that have been redistributed because the worm has eaten them. So that's going to require me to make another trip down there, hurting my time for the level somewhat. Seconds didn't do it too bad, to be honest. I'll tell you what, let's set a new record for 100% in the game. So we're at 13 minutes at the moment for that. Like I said, the timing's kind of a bit of a nightmare, isn't it? Because you can restart games and things. I don't know. Maybe I screwed up the timing on this game. I should have made a speedrun mode, shouldn't I? Not the tokens though, do I? Like I say, this game amazingly was pushing the token limit a lot quicker than I expected. For a long time it was sitting at about 5,000 or 6,000 tokens, but then over one day where I don't feel like I added anything much, I added the traffic enemies, and that seemed to... all of a sudden I was at 8,000 tokens and I realised, crap, so much I still want to add into the game, so I had to shorten things somewhat. In 5 seconds, cool. 5 more levels to go. Let's do this. Oh, I'll tell you what. Let's have a look at the new ability. So the last power you get is auto return pixels, and this was kind of the second proper power that I added, and yeah, it's not as good as detonate. But I thought most people play through the game probably aren't going to want to get both upgrades. So I'll put the best upgrade as the first one so that people are actually going to see it. Yeah, the way that auto return works is if we switch auto return on, it will automatically return any pixels we bump into. So until I had made the detonate power, or before I made the detonate power, auto return was really cool, but detonate's much cooler. So yeah, it was kind of made obsolete by the newer power. This game is one where I've used the extended power of Pico 8 a lot more than before. Nearly, I think every level in fact makes some use of the extended palette, so a lot of different colours and shades. Because of how kind of indistinct a lot of the graphics are, because it's all just, you know, it's not using the sprite sheet. I thought that the colours really needed to be more. Anyway, I'm not going to use the auto return pixel again because detonates us better. I wanted to add a tutorial mode into the game, but like I said, I ran out of pixels. Ran out of tokens. This is the problem that I had with this game. This level doesn't have very many pixels on at all, but it doesn't really feel that much easier, and it really isn't that much easier than a level with, well, over 1,000 pixels on. You see the last 2 levels had 1,024 pixels on. It doesn't really make a big difference to the difficulty, which is a bit disappointing. So, like I say, it was a bit of a strange game to make, this one. I'm kind of glad that I did Clever Pixel first. I think this is very much a prototype, if you like, for Clever Pixel. The main thing from this, which was recycled into Clever Pixel, besides the idea of just controlling one pixel, it was the collision code, or the code for picking up pixels like this. That's in Clever Pixel, and it's only one part of the game, whereas in this it's the majority of the game. So I'm glad I made Clever Pixel first, because I'm kind of more proud of that game. I think it's a better game, but at the same time I didn't really want to leave Brave Pixel unfinished, because it's not bad. There we go, there's my glowing developer review of my own game. It's not bad, but no, it's... Yeah, I have a bit of a difficult relationship with this game. On the one hand, I'm pleased with it, but on the other hand, there's a lot that I wanted to do that I ran out of tokens for, or things were just very difficult. Like the level select screen was and is an ongoing nightmare. Like I say, after I finish the video, I'm going to have to go and have a look at that and try and fix that. So watch this space for updates to my own game. So yeah, difficult relationship with this game. But I've worked quite hard on it. Well, I have worked hard on it, and I wanted to put it out there, so here it is. Hope you enjoy it. Oh, nearly there then, last level. This is a good level. I tried to design the levels so that the easier levels are in the middle of the map, so that there was a kind of what do you call it, risk-reward relationship between going around the outsides of the map to get the upgrades, or just going through the middle. I think the quickest route is around the outside, but yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how people are going to play this game, that's the thing. When you're making a game yourself, you're so close to it, you can't get any kind of perspective on it, and you don't know how people are really going to play your own game, what they're going to choose to do. Especially, I mean, like a game like this where you've got a lot of freedom in terms of what you do. You know, there's not just one way to complete a level, there's not one strategy. Right, so I've completed all the levels now. 18 minutes for the whole lot. Let's see the victory screen. There we go. So because we've because we've completed all the levels, it's booted our text off the top of the screen. Anyway, we've rescued our Pixel family. Again, the story for this game was tacked on right at the end to try and explain what the hell is going on. The original idea, which I kind of carried over into Clever Pixel, and it got abandoned in that as well. The original idea was for kind of each pixel to be kind of like it was set inside a computer, like all the levels had kind of, you know, multiples of 8, numbers of pixels, like, you know, I was gonna have like levels be called like memory addresses or something, you know, kind of come up with a computer theme. That kind of fell by the wayside when I started, well, when I thought, hang on a minute, why is there water and clouds and kelp in a computer? So there you go, what could have been. So there you go. Special edition of Clever Pixel Pico Playtime there, where I'm playing my game Brave Pixel. I'm just talking rubbish now, aren't I? So yeah, as you can see, the game's on itch. It's on Splore as well. I posted it to the Pico 8 forums. And yeah, I need to go and fix it now because I've found another bug, yet another bug. But yeah, it's here to play, and I hope 39, oh my god, I hope 39 minutes of me talking about my own game has been interesting and fun. We'll see, won't we? Anyway, don't worry, this isn't going to go up as a normal Pico Playtime, because it's a video series I'm supposed to be reviewing other people's games, not talking about my own. So yeah, I'll tell you what, before we do go, because this is a long video, who cares, I'm going to have a look for one of the earlier versions. So oh, where have I hidden it all? Right, let's try and get into that. Right, okay, here we go. So what have we got? Beta 5. Brave Pixel 2. Let's try some of these. Wow, this is an early version, so not a lot here yet. Oh, this wasn't an early version. This was me playing around for low-res jam. This was me, yeah, getting. I think it was mainly to test the 64x64 mode 3 or whatever it's called. Because, like I say, a lot of the code from this was used in low-res jam for Clever Pixel. Right, let's try another one then. Let's try Brave Pixel Alpha 1. Let's see what the first version of the game looked like. Okay, so as you can see, the basic game mechanics were here very early. Now, this was something that this was an early hurdle to the game. Like I say, the game started off mainly as an exercise in creating collision code, because the entire game is based on collision. There's very little else in the game. And yeah, one of the early problems was this level has got, well, 1024 pixels, and you can see there is a lot of slowdown. Each pixel that you pick up has to check its position with every other pixel in the world, and you get this kind of crossover point where, well, if you think about it, if you have one pixel to start with and it's checking 1,000 other pixels, 1 times 1,000 is 1,000. If you have 2 pixels and there are then 999 pixels on the level, then you've got 1,898 checks to do. And you can see, as you pick up more pixels, the amount of checks that are happening for collision balloon out of control. So you'll see that if let's see how slow it can get before it really grinds to a halt. Anyway, I managed to get over this problem, which was good, because the game would not have worked had I not managed to do that. But you can see, Alpha 1, I hadn't done that yet. But you can see how slow it's starting to get. There is still some slowdown in the game. It's only really on levels, the last couple of levels where there are a lot of pixels in the world. So if you're on the last level and you start using the detonate power a lot, you do get slowdown there. But like I say, that's one fairly narrow situation where you're going to get slowed down. In this version, you get slowed down on every level pretty much. So yeah, let's have another look at another version whilst we're here. Beta 5, I think that might have been where I'd left it before I started low-res jam. So this was kind of where the game was until I picked it up again 2 or 3 weeks ago. Like I say, music's in there already, or the title music anyway. Title screen's in there. We have a kind of level select. Now, for a long time there was only 15 levels, but then I thought, to keep in with this power of 8 thing, it really should be 16. Plus 16 means I can have a 4x4 map rather than 3x5. Now, as you can see, there is the old story. All our pixels have been scattered. You've got to get them back. Like I say, the story in this game, what is it? So this is the old final level. You can see this is actually now, this is still level 15, but there's obviously level 16 now, which is just an empty level but with enemies. This version of the game doesn't have enemies in. As you can see though, we've already got that fast collision happening. We're not getting any slowdown now, even though we've got 1,000 pixels on the level. So yeah, I managed to get my code to work there. Now you notice there's only a 1 pixel gap between those 2 red areas. Now this was a feature I didn't really lean into in the final version of the game. The way to complete this level isn't by trying to fit all your pixels through that 1 pixel gap. It's just travelling across like that and getting the player to not be so precious about their pixels. I kind of leaned away from that idea in level design because, especially when you had enemies where the worms were redistributing the pixels all the time, and especially if you weren't going to play the game very quickly, you'd end up with little pixels here and there, and it became frustrating. So yeah, this came out. Also, originally, you didn't have a way. There wasn't a way to die. So if you went through a damaging area, if you had 1 pixel left, it would just leave you there. Again, that's another little feature that was taken out. Again, it was taken out because I thought it's just more likely to confuse people than it is to be a good feature of the game. Even though it made the game harder, I thought it made it easier to understand, because people would probably just be playing the game and think, well, why haven't I died? Because I've gone through that red area. So yeah, we got rid of that. And you can see, the original idea for Clever Pixel, and it was kind of apparent in this version, was I like the idea of, if you imagine like in Tetris where you've got your little, what are they called, tetrominoes, whatever they're called, you can kind of build up Tetris style shapes with your pixels, and the shape of your character, if you like, affects which block you can pick up. And often, if you're not playing the game very carefully, look, like here, I can't get to those few pixels in the top, just to the top left of where I am, without hitting the red area. So I was originally envisioning Clever Pixel to have a kind of puzzle element like that, where you'd be asked to kind of create these shapes that would fit through areas, kind of like a key. But that was too complicated and I got rid of it. So there you go. And as you can see, even though I cleared out the area on the left pretty much, as pixels are reset, they are redistributed over there, and yeah, that becomes a very frustrating loop. So that's why I kind of got rid of this idea where you were supposed to kind of dash over these red areas. It was just annoying, basically. Another thing that I added was all the kind of particle effects. So, for example, when a pixel is redistributed on this, they just appear on the screen. That was confusing, and you can end up with a situation where, especially on levels with the more yellowy looking moons, you'd have 1 pixel hidden or hiding on a level and you'd be unable to see where it was, and yeah, again, frustrating for players. So I put in the little ring explosion effect just to highlight where pixels are, and just to kind of give the player a hint where they should be going next. So yeah, a lot of the things I added into this game were kind of what do you call it? Kind of feedback for the player, and things to kind of make the player's life easier. If not making the game easier, just make it easy for the player to play the game, basically. So yeah, it was an interesting kind of design experience, because I was having to think, because it's such an abstract bloody game, and it's not really like any other games I'm aware of. I mean, there's only like Katamari Damacy, how do you pronounce it? There's only really that, which is kind of similar. I don't really know, is this a puzzle game? I don't know. But because the game was so kind of out there, I had to make more effort to give the player feedback so the player knew what they were doing. Anyway, I think that's enough. So we played through the final version of Brave Pixel, found some bugs, so I have to go back and fix that. We played some beta versions, I've talked about the game, and there you go. A 50-minute video where I talk about my own game. I do apologise. Anyway, I hope that was interesting for you. Oh, you see, now I was worried about the tokens. Look, this was the beta 5 version. We're already at 4,500 tokens, so maybe I just wasn't keeping track of where my tokens were. You can see all the different I was going to finish the video off and now I'm talking about this. Right, this was my to-do list. This was very intimidating when I was making the game, or trying to finish the game. Let's see how many of these things actually went into the final game. So, sort out level timing once more. Yeah, so level timing's still an issue, like you've seen on the final version. The level select and the timing, all that was a nightmare. The problem that I had was that there was an overflow problem. I was doing timing by counting frames, but the upper limit for numbers in Pico 8 is 32,765 or something. If you go over that, you get an underflow, and you end up with minus numbers or negative numbers for times. That screws everything up. So I'm using the time function now, which I should have done to start with, but there we go. Features to add. Moving obstacles that wipe off pixels. Yes, we added that. That was the traffic. Enemies that can wipe off pixels. Yeah, we've added worms in and the traffic, so I managed to do that. Particle effects on dropping pixels. You see, I knew it needed to be done even back then, and yes, I did that. Enemy that hunts player if more than 50% load. Didn't do that, but the big worm does hunt the player, but it hunts the player all the time. The original idea was, if the player got above 50% capacity, this enemy would start to hunt them down, to kind of dissuade the player from carrying loads of pixels at once, but it didn't seem like a very fun idea, and I didn't think it would make sense to players. Why is this worm suddenly going after me? I mean, without having a big pop-up saying, because you have got 50% of your pixels full, this thing's now chasing after you. So yeah, didn't do that. Different graphic effects for different levels. Yes, I did do that. So, like I say, a lot of the development was actually driven by this to-do list. Yeah, each level on this looks the same. I kind of started messing around with... In fact, I wonder if maybe there are... Oh, there you go. I was already playing around with different palettes. These got changed a lot because some of them were absolutely... Look at this. This was supposed to be like a daytime level and it just looks awful. So that got ditched. Let's see if there's any other ugly ones. Oh, even worse. This is meant to be sunset. Yeah, glad I took that one out. So, different graphic effects. Yes, kelp. We added kelp in. Was kelp not in this version? Oh, look, kelp's in this version. I didn't update the list, apparently. Trees, they were added right at the end. We didn't add different clouds in the end. I'm not sure what I wanted to do there. Background hills, mountains, rectangles. So the rectangles, they were added in. They became the buildings. And if you've seen in the background of the city levels, there was mountains that were kind of made from rectangles. So I did put mountains and rectangles in, or no hills, unfortunately. Bugs, tweaks. Make palettes more subtle. Yes, those palettes were disgusting. We got rid of that. Make gaudy palettes unlockable. Didn't do that because I ran out of tokens, and I don't think it'd be something that people would be interested in anyway. Improve level palette by what? Picking colours from the secret palette for all levels. Yes, I did do that. Nearly every level uses this extended palette, mostly to get different shades of grey. There's a lot of dark colours in the game. It's quite a dark game. That was so that the pixels in the foreground stood out and the enemies and things. So a lot of the backgrounds are very muted. Lots of the darker greys from the extended secret palette. Wishlist. Different selectable characters or player powers. So yeah, we didn't do characters. I do need to at some point do a game where you can pick a different character that's actually different. I haven't really done it yet. I mean, you could change the colour of the dragon in Dragon's Playground, but that was to change difficulty, and the dragons were identical. It's just the difficulty had, like, easy you had auto regenerating health, hard you had less health. You know, not really different characters. They don't play differently. Screen wrapping asteroid style. Yeah, I was thinking of making a power where it would be a power that would let the player wrap across the screen. I didn't do that because it just didn't seem like something that people would want to do. And now that I think about it, it probably have made level design a lot more tricky, because there would needed to have been space on the opposite sides of each level, because it's, yeah, I had this problem in Clever Pixel actually, of being blocked by things that you can't see because they're off screen. So yeah, I'm glad I didn't try and do that. Explosion to pick up nearby pixels. Yeah, that was put in, that was the detonator. Some actual sprite graphics. Didn't do that because that was part of the challenge, but you can see I was still thinking about that at this point. Clever Pixel did use the sprite sheet, so maybe that idea was carried over into Clever Pixel. Failing that, some cool particle effects on level select. Well, we ran out of tokens, so the level select just ended up having the clouds and the rain effect. There you go. Right, I was going to finish this video about 10 minutes ago, but then I started looking at that. So yeah, I am going to finish the video now. So let's just reboot. Let's get rid of all this. Look at that ugly palette. So there you go. Bookending the video here with a good old reboot of Pico 8. So I hope that was an interesting video for you, where I kind of go through how I finished off this game, Brave Pixel. Like I say, the link's down below. Give it a play. Hopefully when you play it, I will have fixed some more of the bugs. So yeah, hopefully this video is going to be made obsolete very soon. Anyway, thank you for watching, and normal service will resume next Friday when I have to post another video. So yeah, thank you for watching. See you later.